They kicked the black chef out of the kitchen until the president walked in. Get your hands off the stove. You don't belong here. The words hit him harder than the boiling oil that sizzled beside him. Malik froze, spatula still in his hand, steam rising around him like a battlefield mist. He turned slowly, jaw tight, breath steady, but his eyes carried years of swallowed pain. What did you just say? He asked quietly. The head chef stepped closer, his voice sharp enough to cut steel. I said you don't belong here. Not in my kitchen. Not in this restaurant. The other cooks watched, pretending to chop vegetables, but their eyes were loud, full of judgment, curiosity, and something uglier than envy. Malik stood tall. I've cooked every dish better than any man in this room, and you know it. A few cooks flinched. The head chef smirked. That's the problem, he hissed. Customers are asking for the black guy's pasta, the black guy's steak. This place has a brand, Malik. You don't fit it. Malik's heart pounded. So, you're firing me because customers like my food? No, the head chef snapped. I'm firing you because this kitchen is meant for people like you. The words sliced through the steam-filled air. Malik felt the ground tilt beneath him. He had survived poverty, racism, a childhood filled with loss, and fought for years to get this one chance. This kitchen wasn't just a job. It was his dream. His mother's dream to. He inhaled shakily. My shift isn't even over. It is now, the head chef said coldly. Get out. Malik looked around at the faces staring at him, some guilty, some relieved, some silently agreeing. He slowly set down his spatula. The smell of garlic, butter, and betrayal filled the air. His voice cracked just once. Just once. You have no idea what you're throwing away. The head chef laughed cruelly. Oh, I know exactly. Suddenly, the kitchen door burst open. A manager ran in, breathless. Everyone, listen. The president is here, and he's asking for one chef by name. Everyone froze. The head chef swallowed. Who? The manager whispered the name like a shockwave. Malik. The room went dead silent. Every flame on every stove seemed to freeze. Every knife stopped midair. Even the boiling pots suddenly sounded distant. Malik blinked slowly, unsure if he even heard it right. Me, he whispered. The manager nodded quickly, sweating. Yes, the president is in the VIP lounge. He said he wants only Malik to cook his lunch. He said. The manager swallowed. He said Malik is the reason he came. Every pair of eyes snapped toward the head chef. Color drained from his face. No, the head chef stuttered. That can't be right. Why would the president? Because he tasted Malik's food before. The manager cut in. At that charity event last year, Malik felt his chest tighten. His hands trembled, but not from fear. From memory. That night. That small charity kitchen. That single plate he cooked for a president he had never met. The head chef tried to regain control. Listen, this is a high-security visit. They can't just call for anyone. He asked for Malik. The manager repeated firmly. By name, twice. A ripple of shock moved across the kitchen. The man who had just been humiliated, the man they shoved aside, the man they kicked out, was the only name the president wanted in the entire building. Malik felt every pair of eyes burning holes into his back, some filled with jealousy, some with disbelief, a few with regret. The head chef gritted his teeth and stepped closer. You're not going anywhere, he hissed. This is my kitchen, and I decide who cooks. Malik stared at him, calm but broken in places only he could feel. And you just fired me. Malik replied softly. That single sentence hit the room like a thunderclap. The head chef's jaw locked. You walk out that door, Malik? And don't you ever come back? Malik exhaled, a slow, painful, emotional breath. I didn't walk out, he said. You pushed me. The manager moved between them. The president is waiting. Malik. Let's go. Malik glanced at the stoves, his battlefield, the pans, his weapons, the spices, his memories of his mother teaching him to cook in a tiny kitchen with a leaky roof. Then he looked back at the head chef. No one can stop what God has already written. Malik whispered. He turned, took one step toward the VIP lounge, then another. But before he reached the door, for security agents rushed into the kitchen. scanning every face. Their leader pointed at Malik. You, come with us, now. His voice was urgent, sharp, deadly serious. Everyone stiffened. The agent stepped closer. The president needs to speak to you privately. He leaned in. And it's about your mother. Malik froze. Those 6 words hit him harder than every insult thrown at him that morning. It's about your mother. His breath caught in his throat. His vision blurred for a moment, not from fear, but from memories clawing their way back. He stepped back instinctively. My mother. Why? What does the president know about her? The security agent didn't blink. We'll talk in private. The head chef scoffed loudly, trying to regain control. Oh, come on. Now the president knows his mother too. This is ridiculous. But the agent turned slowly, his stare razor sharp. Sir, one more word, and you leave this building. The head chef fell silent immediately. Malik's heart pounded in his ears. His mother, the woman who raised him alone, the woman who worked double shifts as a dishwasher so he could stay in school, the woman who died without ever seeing him become the chef she believed he could be. His voice cracked. What does the president know about her? The senior agent lowered his voice. Malik, your mother wasn't just someone who worked in kitchens. Malik frowned. What do you mean? She worked at the White House once, the agent said quietly. Long before you were born. Malik felt the floor vanish under his feet. My mother, at the White House? His voice trembled. She never told me that. She couldn't, the agent replied. Confidential work. Very confidential. She cooked for the president's father during an emergency visit, and she did something that saved his life? Malik blinked, stunned. Saved his life? How? The agent exhaled. That's exactly what the president wants to explain. Before Malik could react, the manager gently touched his arm. Son, I think you should go. Even the chefs who had mocked him moments ago now stared with wide eyes, almost humbled, almost ashamed. Malik swallowed hard, emotion swirling inside him. His mother, a hero, a secret history he never knew, a connection to the president himself. Nothing made sense. The agent motioned toward the hallway. This way. Malik took a shaky step, then stopped. He turned slowly to face the entire kitchen, all the cooks, the head chef, the manager, everyone who had seen him as nothing. His voice was low, but unshakably strong. You pushed me out of this kitchen, he said. But my mother. She walked into the White House. A heavy silence fell. No one dared breathe. The agent opened the private door. Malik, he said, the president is waiting. Malik stepped inside. The door closed behind him, and sitting alone in that private room was the president himself, holding an old photograph of Malik's mother. Malik's breath stopped in his chest. The president wasn't surrounded by advisors, wasn't reading documents, wasn't busy at all. He was sitting alone, quiet, still, and in his hands, trembling slightly, was an old, faded photograph of a young black woman in a chef's apron. Malik's mother. The president looked up slowly. His eyes weren't the eyes of the most powerful man in the country. They were the eyes of someone carrying a memory, a debt, and something like grief. Malik, he said softly, you have her eyes? Malik's knees almost gave out. He took one shaky step forward. Sir, you knew my mother? The president nodded, swallowing thickly. I didn't just know her. She saved my father's life. The room fell silent enough to hear Malik's heartbeat. She never told me, Malik whispered. She couldn't, the president said gently. It was during a classified event. My father, the president at that time, was poisoned during a diplomatic dinner. Malik felt the blood drain from his face. Poisoned? Yes. The president's voice dropped. And your mother was the first to notice. He lifted the picture closer. She tasted the sauce before it was served. Because she sensed something was wrong, she collapsed, but her sacrifice gave the medical team enough time to save him. Malik's eyes blurred. His hands shook violently. Then she risked her life for him. She did more than that, the president said, fighting his own emotion. She worked for the next hour, half conscious, guiding the team to identify the contaminated batch. Had she failed, we would have lost him. Malik felt tears slide down his cheeks. This was a woman who took buses to work, who ate one meal a day so he could have two, who scrubbed dishes until her hands cracked, and she carried a secret heroism he never even knew. We owe her a debt we can't repay, the president said. And today, when I heard there was a chef here with her last name, I came to meet him. He stood slowly and placed the photograph in Malik's trembling hands. She believed in you, Malik. She spoke about you. Even when she was slipping in and out of consciousness, Malik broke quietly, painfully. How? He whispered through tears. How do you know that? The president looked down, as if the next truth weighed mountains. Because I was there, he said softly. I held your mother's hand while she fought to stay awake long enough to describe you. Malik froze. His heart stopped. His mother didn't die alone. He looked up slowly, voice cracking open. Sir, what were her last words? The president inhaled a deep, emotional breath, but before he could speak, the door exploded open. The head chef stormed in, red-faced. This is ridiculous. I demand he be removed from this building now. Malik turned, tears still on his face, and something inside him finally snapped. The president's security agents surged forward instantly, hands on their weapons. But the president lifted one calm hand. Let him speak, he said quietly. The head chef stood in the doorway, chest heaving, eyes full of hatred and something uglier. Fear. He pointed a shaking finger straight at Malik. I don't care who he is or who you are, he doesn't belong in my kitchen. He is nothing but a finish that sentence. The president said, voice low and dangerous. Go on. I'm listening. The head chef swallowed, but pride wouldn't let him back down. He's nothing but a charity case you're entertaining. He spat. We run a fine dining establishment here. Not in. Malik slowly rose from his chair. Every muscle in his body trembled, but not from weakness, from strength he had buried for too long. No, Malik said softly, stepping forward. You don't run a fine dining establishment. You run a prison. The room stilled, a prison where dreams suffocate. He continued, voice growing stronger, and talent dies before it can breathe. A place where you mistake cruelty for discipline, and racism for standards. The head chef's face twisted with rage. You ungrateful. Malik cut him off, voice steady now, almost calm. You fired me because my food outshined yours. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I was better. Gasps filled the room. The head chef pointed at the president now. And how dare you interfere in my staff decisions? This is my domain. The president stared at him with a coldness Malik had never seen before. This domain, as you call it, the president said, is failing, and I've been watching. The head chef blinked in confusion. What do you mean? The president stepped toward him slowly. I've been planning a nationwide program, a campaign celebrating the hidden heroes of American kitchens. He glanced at Malik, especially the ones the world has overlooked. The head chef's face paled. What are you saying? Malik felt the air tighten. He could feel something coming. The president took another step closer, his voice dropping to ice. I'm saying that your kitchen, your behavior, and your treatment of this man will be reviewed publicly. The head chef's legs shook beneath him. You can't do that, he whispered. You don't have the authority. I'm the president, he said simply. I have every authority. The head chef staggered back as if struck. But the president wasn't done. Not even close. He turned back to Malik. Eyes softening. Before we continue, he said quietly, you asked me something. Malik's heart thudded. What were her last words? He whispered. The president nodded slowly and opened his mouth to speak. But before he could finish, a voice soft, trembling, familiar echoed from the hallway. I can tell him. Malik spun around. A woman stood there, holding a folded hospital bracelet with Malik's mother's name on it. His world tilted. His breath vanished. Because the woman wasn't a stranger. It was his mother's best friend, the one who disappeared the night she died. Malik's breath hitched. He hadn't seen that woman in over a decade. A figure from childhood memories, half warm, half painful, now standing in the doorway like a ghost. Miss Layla, he whispered. She stepped forward slowly, hands trembling, her eyes glistening. The silver hospital bracelet in her fingers shook as she held it up. I never meant to disappear, she said, voice cracking. I just couldn't face you after what happened. Malik felt his legs weaken. You were there when my mother died. Why did you leave? Why didn't you tell me anything? Her chin quivered. I thought protecting you meant keeping the truth from you. Malik's voice shook. What truth? She looked at the president, silently asking permission. He nodded gently. Tell him. Miss Layla exhaled a breath she had been holding for years. Your mother didn't just taste the poison meal. Malik, she whispered. She was targeted. The air left the room. Malik blinked, stunned. Targeted? What do you mean? Targeted? Miss Layla stepped closer, tears spilling freely. She wasn't supposed to survive that night. The sabotage wasn't just against the president's father. It was against everyone in that kitchen. And she discovered it first. The president's jaw clenched. She warned us. She exposed a threat none of us saw coming. The memory Miss Layla carried seemed too heavy for her to hold. She worked in the kitchen with me, she continued, voice shaking. She was my closest friend, and when she realized the sauce was poisoned, she tasted it intentionally, because if the president's father collapsed, everyone would assume it was poor cleanliness, or the black workers, or, her voice cracked violently, she sacrificed herself to clear our names. Malik staggered, gripping the table to stay upright. My mother sacrificed her life. For all of you. Miss Layla broke down. She asked me to protect you, to make sure you never lived with that burden, never saw the ugliness she faced behind those walls. Malik shook his head slowly, tears streaming. But why didn't she tell me? Why didn't you? Because you were a child, she whispered, and she said her last words were just for you. Malik's heart slammed against his ribs. My last words. What did she say? Miss Layla wiped her tears, reached into her bag, and pulled out a tiny folded paper, yellowed with age. She made me promise to give you this when you were ready. Her voice broke. I think you're ready now. Malik's hands shook violently as he reached for the note. 1,000 memories passed his eyes. 1,000 emotions hit at once. He opened the fragile paper before he could read a single word. The head chef lunged forward and snatched the note from his hand. You don't deserve any of this sympathy, he shouted. This boy isn't special. He's nothing but. A hand grabbed the head chef's wrist. A strong, powerful, deadly serious grip the president's. His voice was ice. Finish that sentence, and you'll never work in a kitchen again. The room froze. The head chef's face turned ghost white as the president's hand tightened around his wrist. No one breathed. No one moved. Malik stood there, chest rising and falling sharply, watching the note with his mother's final words crushed in the chef's fist. The president leaned in, voice low, deadly calm. Give him the note. Now. The head chef's arrogance cracked like thin ice. He swallowed hard, eyes trembling, and slowly released the crushed paper back into Malik's shaking hand. The president didn't blink. If you ever touch something that belongs to this man again, you won't just lose your job. You'll be explaining yourself on national television. The head chef stumbled backward, shaken to his core. Miss Layla wiped her eyes. Malik, read it, she whispered. She wrote it for you. Only for you. Malik held the fragile note like it was the heartbeat of someone he lost too soon. His fingers trembled, unfolding the paper slowly, painfully, as if each crease carried a memory. The handwriting was familiar, soft, beautiful, his mother's. His vision blurred instantly. He read aloud, just above a whisper, My son, if the world ever pushes you out of the door, don't let it push you out of yourself. Malik's throat tightened. He continued, You will face rooms that don't want you, people who fear your fire, hearts that cannot see your worth. Tears fell, hitting the ink, smudging her words. But listen to me, Malik. Your talent is not a guest in any kitchen. It is the home. Malik could no longer hold back. A sob escaped him. Raw, deep, human. The president closed his eyes, emotion flickering through his face like shadows. Miss Layla cried silently into her hands. Malik whispered the last line with a breaking voice. And one day, the world will open a door for you that no man can shut. His hand fell to his side, still clutching the note. Every soul in the room felt the truth of it. Even the head chef, who, humiliated, defeated, stood frozen, unable to speak. Then the president stepped forward, his voice soft, but carrying the weight of a promise. Malik, that day is today. Malik looked up through tears, confused. What do you mean? The president took a deep breath, and what he said next made Malik's entire body go numb. I want you to come with me. To the White House kitchen. Everyone gasped. The head chef stumbled. Miss Layla covered her mouth in shock. Malik felt the world spin around him. But before he could speak, the restaurant fire alarm suddenly blared loudly. Lights flashed red. Smoke poured into the hallway. A waiter screamed from the kitchen, "Fire! There's a fire in the main kitchen." Malik snapped toward the door. Instinct training emotion, everything inside him igniting at once. The president shouted, "Evacuate the building." But Malik didn't move, because he knew something no one else did. The fire started exactly where he had been cooking. The hallway was chaos, smoke rolling like dark waves, alarms screaming through the air. But Malik didn't hear anything except the pounding of his own heart. The president shouted again, "Malik, get out of the building now." But Malik's feet were already moving toward the fire. Miss Layla yelled, "No." Malik stopped. He didn't. He ran not away from danger, but straight into it, because deep inside, he knew something awful. That fire wasn't an accident. He skidded into the kitchen, smoke burning his eyes, heat slapping against his skin. Flames curled around pans, licking up the counters, devouring everything. And there, through the thick smoke, he saw him, the head chef, face twisted in panic, pinned behind a fallen metal rack, struggling to breathe. The moment their eyes met, something shifted in the chef's face. Fear, regret, shame. "Malik?" He choked, coughing violently. "Help! Help me!" For a heartbeat, just one. Malik froze. This was the man who tore him down, who humiliated him, who tried to steal his mother's final words. He could walk away that no one would blame him. But then, he remembered her letter. If the world ever pushes you out of the door, don't let it push you out of yourself. Malik's jaw tightened. He pushed through the flames. "Hold on," he shouted. He lifted the rack with every ounce of strength left in him, fire scorching his hands. The chef collapsed into Malik's arms, coughing, weak, helpless. Malik dragged him out, step by burning step, until they fell out of the smoke and into the hallway where security grabbed the injured chef. Everyone stared. The president, Miss Layla, the entire staff. Malik stood there, shirt burned, hands blistered, chest heaving, but eyes steady. The head chef, trembling, whispered, "Why? Why did you save me?" Malik looked at him, not with anger, not with pride, but with something the chef never expected, humanity, "Because you would have saved the food." Malik said softly, "And my mother raised me better than that." The head chef broke. Right there, in front of everyone, he covered his face with shaking hands, and sobbed. The president stepped forward, placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. "Your mother would be proud," he whispered. Malik swallowed hard, tears finally spilling. The president continued, voice heavy with meaning, "Come with me. Your new kitchen is waiting." Malik looked back at the burning restaurant, the place that rejected him, tried to break him, tried to define him. Then he looked at the open door ahead. The door no man could shut. He took a breath, deep, steady, and stepped forward, toward the future his mother always believed he'd reach, toward the White House, toward destiny. Moral: the world may try to keep you out of its doors, but your character will open the ones meant only for you.